Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our very important panel discussion today called Get Screened, I Love You. This panel discussion is presented by the American Cancer Society with support from Elevance Health Foundation, Washington National, Roche Diagnostics USA, Indiana University, Melvin and Bryn Simon Comprehensive Cancer Center, Office of Community Outreach and Engagement, and the Indiana Cancer Consortium. My name is Nadia Miller. I am the proud president of a local organization here in Indianapolis called Pink Forever Ending Disparities. I'm also a 16-year breast cancer survivor. So this particular panel is super important to me personally and professionally. At this time, I'd like to yield to our esteemed panelists for each of you to introduce yourself, your occupation, and why this panel discussion is important to you.
Am I starting?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
My name is Nyla Lee, and I'm the Health Disparities Coordinator for the Indiana Breast and Cervical Cancer Program. The Indiana Breast and Cervical Cancer Program provides free cervical and breast cancer screening, so like your pap smears and your mammogram, for people who are uninsured or underinsured. And so I believe that this panel is very important to me because I believe since there are so many resources in Indianapolis that people should take advantage of them if they don't have insurance or they know a loved one who could benefit from these services.
I'm Dr. Nonyema Onujiagu. I'm a gynecologic oncologist. I practice with Beacon Health System in South Bend, Indiana. I take care of women who have ovarian cancer, uterine cancer, cervical cancer, and other gynecologic cancers. I both do surgery for these patients and I give them chemotherapy. I'm here because I want to contribute to my community, and I think if we can stop one person from dying from cancer, then I think we've accomplished a goal.
Good afternoon. My name is Tyson Mangrum. I'm a regional account manager for Moderna Pharmaceuticals. I'm here because I lost a best friend and a mentor to colon cancer at an early age. At the time, the recommendation was to get screened at 50. He was not quite 50 years old. Went to the doctor and found out he was at stage 4, and he passed 3 years ago on my birthday. So I'm here in support of not only him, but in support of our community, the Black community, getting screened for colorectal cancer.
Good afternoon. My name is Alicia West. I am a 5-year breast cancer survivor. Previously, I worked with Elevance Health for 20 years in the human resources area, and just recently embarked on a new career as a sales consultant selling new homes. This panel is important to me because I don't look like what I've been through. So I look healthy. Someone just told me that this morning, that you don't look like you've gone through cancer. So it's very important to get the message out, to check yourself, to know your body, to learn your body and understand what resources are available to you, and that early prevention is the key.
Thank you. Thank each of you for being here this morning, just on behalf of the American Cancer Society and all of their partners and sponsors. We really appreciate you all just spending the morning with us for this life-saving information that's really important to our community. And so I'm going to jump right on into this, if that's okay. Our first question, I would love to have Dr. Onujiagu take this, which is, what cancer screenings are recommended and when should a person start screening?
Certainly. So I can summarize the recommendations for the various cancers. So for instance, cervical cancer screening should start at age 25. Breast cancer screening is recommended to start about age 40, but can start at age 50. As was mentioned earlier about colon cancer, our panelist had a friend who was diagnosed before age 50. And the previous recommendation was to start at age 50, but now those recommendations have changed. And it's actually recommended that screening for colon cancer starts at age 45. And then, prostate cancer is another cancer that can be screened. And the general recommendation there is age 50 plus. But really the important thing is to make sure that men are talking to their physicians about timing of prostate cancer screening.
Thank you so much. One of the things that you said that were very important is about talking to your physician. There are some folks that are on our panel, and then also I know for me, myself, the recommendations and the guidelines for me, because I was diagnosed at the age of 28 with breast cancer. Talk to me more about what family history and the importance of knowing your family history and what is happening within your own family.
Exactly. So a lot of these screening are just guidelines for the general population. But then you have patients or people who have family members who've had cancer, various cancers. And if there is a hereditary gene in the family, well, then that significantly can increase an individual's risk of cancer. These general screening guidelines no longer apply. So that's where it's really important to make sure that you have a primary care doctor who knows you well, who knows your family history well, and can guide you if, in fact, you need to start screening a lot earlier than the standard guidelines recommend.
Thank you so much. I hear yelling advocacy, advocate for yourself is what I hear. Thank you so much, Dr. O. Alicia, for you, tell me a little bit more about just your journey. You mentioned in opening that folks look at you and they say, hey, you know, you look so healthy. Talk to me about how cancer does not have a look or a face.
Sure. For me, I had no symptoms. I just happened to be laying down one day, and I have dense breast tissue, so I was kind of always doing self-exams, but it's easier to identify any irregularities laying down for me. So I was laying down one day and felt a small little knot on my right breast. So I asked my husband to feel it and see if he felt it as well. And he did. I didn't have any symptoms. There were no symptoms. I wasn't tired. There was no illness. Nothing had changed, really. And so that is why, to me, cancer has no face. Even when I was diagnosed, I'm kind of private. And so it was important for me to post it on my social media and post my experience, because people don't look like what they're going through. And people see, you know, you're dressed well, or you present well, or you show up well. Well, you have a beautiful life. I do. Cancer doesn't care. It doesn't care. And so you have to be vigilant in, again, knowing your body, understanding that it can happen to you. It doesn't have a face. It doesn't choose, social status. It does not matter. It can impact you. And especially in our community, you know, we eat differently. We take in more sugars and starches and such, and those things impact our body differently. And so, again, most of my girlfriends my age, like, I can't believe this happened to you. Well, it can also happen to you. And so while I'm going through it, please go get checked.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So, Tyson, thank you for joining us today as on our panel, our male representation for good reason. And with that being said, can you talk to the community a little bit about what you see and what you hear after losing a best friend to colon cancer, and what that has done to your mindset shift about being a Black male and advocating for healthcare, and then also within your community?
Yeah, absolutely. So I remember the day I received a call from Jason, right? It was tough. Much like Alicia said here, it had no face, social status, any of that. Jason was probably one of the healthiest people I know, right? But for me, it sunk deep because he actually passed on my birthday, right? So being a mentor, right, a best friend and a mentor, to have him pass on your birthday, it really hit me deep. So for me, I really started to go out and advocate, and it wasn't suggesting people get screened. It was almost telling people to get screened, right? Because you can suggest, and people, especially in our community, we tend to not go see our physicians or family care practice. But not only that, I tried to model it. I went. So I advocated for myself. So way before 40, I knew how to get the physician to screen me, right? So I've had 2 colonoscopies since Jason's announcement of him having colorectal cancer. So I continue to do that. I continue to talk to my friends about it. I continue to talk to my fraternity brothers about it. I continue to talk to my family about it. It's important. We have to get out there. We have to get tested. We have to advocate for ourselves. And I continue to do that and model that in my daily living.
Thank you. You're going to hear a lot today about advocacy and the importance of advocating for you and your family. And so, Nyla, tell the community a little bit more about the BCC program. Resources are so important, and I think that is also, we talk about it as a community, but I think it's proper if we just take a moment to hear about this particular program and why it's so important.
Yeah, so the breast and cervical cancer program, we refer to it as the acronym BCCP. So it's in all 50 states. Every state has a BCCP program. So essentially, we receive money from the CDC that allows us to provide screening to individuals in the state. It's important that these resources are known and utilized, because if they aren't utilized, they go away. We often hear that some of the barriers to getting screened are lack of insurance, transportation. We hear all these barriers to getting screened, but there are resources in the community that can help you with those barriers that you're facing. So if you don't have insurance, you could potentially qualify for the program. If you are underserved, if you have, or if you're low income, any of these barriers that you are experiencing, there is a resource in the community that can help you. So I don't think that you should just choose not to get screened just because you have all these barriers, but there is someone in your community that can help you. So I think this is why panels like this, events like the Indiana Black and Minority Health Fair are important to people in Indianapolis.
Thank you. And this is anyone who would like to answer this. I would like to hear, and I'm sure there's the folks that are in the room, and then also those are online. Advocacy is not a buzzword, right? It's actually some actionable items behind that. And can you talk to us a little bit about what advocacy looks like for yourself, and then also if a provider isn't listening to the issues that you may have?
I can speak a little to that. This wasn't my experience, but my mentor also battled breast cancer, the exact same breast cancer that I had. And I modeled my journey after her. However, when her cancer came back like a year later, because it didn't come back in her breast, it actually came back like in her neck. She kept saying, I'm having neck and back pain. I'm having neck and back pain. They sent her for massages. They sent her for everything, but nobody thought, she's a cancer survivor. Let's see if there were no tests done. Ended up breaking her neck. So she ended up not being able to turn her neck. And so she was the one who was just like, make sure that you know your body, and that if something doesn't feel right for you, if your doctor is telling you something or refusing to do the test, find another doctor. Her message to me was, your team is important. Mm-hmm. My team was the dream team. I can't speak more highly of them, but they listened to me. They answered questions that I might have felt frivolous. They put me in touch with resources. I mean, even resources for mental health is as well, because it's as much of a mental journey as it is a physical journey. But just being an advocate that if I'm saying my neck is hurting and I have a history of cancer, do something, then tell me to go get a massage, do something more than that. So just knowing that this doesn't feel right, this doesn't sound right, I am going to get another opinion.
Yes, thank you so much. And you ended exactly where I wanted you to. There are multiple.
I want to jump
Yes,
in
ma'am.
on that. Let me jump in on that answer from a physician perspective. And I agree with her 100%. Yes, we take care of diseases, but I tell my patients all the time, I take care of you, the person, and everyone is different, and nobody knows your body better than you do. And so I think it's important for people to feel empowered to talk to their physicians. It's not a one-way relationship by any means. And, you know, if you're worried about something, I mean, I tell my patients this all the time. Sometimes if I don't know what they're getting at, I say, hey, tell me, what are you worried about? What are you really worried about? Like, let's get to that. Just tell them what you're worried about. Talk to your physician like your friend. Tell them really what you're worried about so that we can get that off the table. Okay, you're having neck pain. You're worried that your cancer is coming back. Well, let's figure out how to make sure that's not what's happening and how to get that anxiety kind of to rest. And so it's really important to talk to your physician, number one. Number two, always bring a second set of ears. That's another way to advocate for yourself. Bring a family member, bring a friend. Sometimes when you're really nervous, you're not going to hear everything that happened in the room. And it's nice to have another set of ears who can ask questions that you might not think of because you're really anxious. So I just kind of wanted to jump on that, but that's really, really important. And I think the last thing I'll say is at the end of each physician visit, be able to summarize what the plan is in your words. And if at the end of that visit, you can't summarize the plan, then your doctor hasn't done his or her job, because you really need to be on the same page. And then you need to say, well, I'm not sure I understand what our plan is. What are we doing again? Talk to your physicians, hold them accountable. I mean, that's why we're here.
Thank you very much. I hear two things very loud and clear. Partner with your physician. We partner everywhere else in the community. Partner with your physician. And if you do not feel like you and your physician are a partner, then find a physician or a network that works for you. And then lastly is, this is very interesting, but it's okay to take a friend to the doctor. Even after, if you've gotten a screening or received some news that you're unclear about, it's okay to take someone to the doctor's office with you. And then also, it is really okay to take a pen and paper with you as well. I make my doctor's appointments like appointments I make, whether I'm getting my hair done, whether I'm going for a fitting. My appointments are the same. And so we just want to continue to encourage the community to do that. We have folks here that are in the audience, and I'm wondering, and I'd like to yield to see if anyone has any questions for our panelists as we continue on. It's very casual. Any questions regarding screening? Yes, ma'am.
No, it's not about screening, but it's about the family that affected as much as the patient. Where's a good place to go to help you heal from what the trauma, has been happening in your family? And you don't want the patient to feel your pain, but where do you go to get help for a family member who's dealing with this cancer as well?
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to share that the American Cancer Society has caregiver resources. We have an interactive caregiver resource guide. We have videos, we have exercise, and other mental health wellness resources that you can utilize. As you are supporting your loved one, you also need to support yourself. So we do have that, and we also, at our 1-800-227-2345 number, it's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve, we have a training specialist, cancer specialist, that can sit down and speak with you if you need to talk to someone.
And so just for the for everyone's hearing, Ms. Rochelle Anthony at the American Cancer Society, all things, she just very eloquently explained that there are resources available at American Cancer Society, who has a very robust catalog and for individuals to, not just for a patient, but for caregivers, for supporters, for husbands, for wives, for children. Our organization benefits from that partnership. I also want to just be very clear about what a soft handoff is in the community, which is that if you don't have the resource or you don't know where the resources are, there are a bevy of resources available. And organizations like American Cancer Society does a phenomenal job of collaborating and creating partnerships with other local organizations and national organizations that have information that is available for individuals. From a personal standpoint or experience, I would love to hear specifically from Alicia or maybe even Tyson, if you knew yourself or loved ones, what support or where did they go or what helped you while you were dealing with that with your family in particular?
My support was out of this world. As I mentioned, I put it on social media. My husband is his frat brother, but people rallied around us that we didn't even know. So just being vocal about it and letting people in, which was hard for me because there's a level of vulnerability there. But I understand that nothing happens to us, it happens for us. And so because I don't look like what I've been through, it was important to me to be a voice and speak out. And from that, people came in droves, like dropping off toilet paper and paper towels and dinners. And like, there was nothing that I feel that we needed that we didn't have. Our community stood up strong for us. And that was a blessing. Our church and social community stood up strong for us.
Thank you for that. Caregiver, and to your point, to your question again, my mother is actually here with me. Shameless plug, I do it all the time. She was a huge support system, but it is very difficult also for your loved ones that provide support. And you said something that was really powerful, that your caregiver doesn't want to give you their emotions about what you're going through. But I will say that it is important, that partnership, that love, that support that you have with your caregiver, to let them know from a patient's perspective that it's okay to feel that way, because this is happening to all of us. This is happening to your entire community and your loved ones. And so there are, again, at the American Cancer Society has a robust platform where you can seek those particular resources with other organizations that are within the community. Yes, ma'am.
I would also like to mention Cancer Support Community Indiana. We also have support services for individual and group. And we also partner with American Cancer Society. So you can call us also for individual and group support.
Cancer Support Community Indiana is in the room, which is also another partner of American Cancer Society, which is very important. The collaboration between other local organizations and national organizations, because none of us can do it all. You know, we cannot do everything. And so I think that I've never built anything by myself. We build a resource bank, and American Cancer Society does an amazing job of connecting people to the right spaces and places. Did you have something else, Rochelle?
No, I was just going to share that on our cancer.org website, we do have a resource locator, and you just put in your zip code. Whether it be you're looking for a healthcare clinic where you can go get a screening, or if you're looking for local resources or national resources, just put in your zip code and it'll just list if you need financial assistance, maybe you need help with transportation. We have transportation grants throughout the state of Indiana, actually throughout the country. So please go to our cancer.org and look up, just as I said, put in your zip code and you will find all of those local resources that you may need access to.
Thank you. So go to cancer.org. You can put in your zip code and all of the resources that you are looking for, whether it be transportation or anything of that nature. There's a locator there where you would be able to find that information. Did I see another hand for questions for our panelists? Okay, well, I've got some more questions because we've got a good discussion going on here. I do want to talk a little bit more, or to hear from you all a bit more about community and talking to the community about, from your standpoint, and Dr. O, I would love to hear what you have to say with this as well, is what is one habit that an individual can work on starting today to reduce their personal or their family's risk of getting cancer? Just one habit.
I'll give you two.
All right.
So smoking is certainly one that is connected to lung cancer. I think one thing a lot of people don't know is that cervical cancer is primarily caused by the human papillomavirus, and the kind of the negative effects of human papillomavirus can be perpetuated and kind of sped up by smoking. So to my patients with cervical cancer and vulvar cancer, when they're in remission or if they've recurred, or even those with pre-cancer, let me step back a little bit, because the reason why screening is important is because some of these cancers can be caught before they become a cancer. Mm-hmm. So cervical cancer is one of those cancers that you can catch the pre-cancerous stage. So one thing I say to my patients with pre-cervical cancer diagnoses is basically quitting smoking is one of the most important things you can do to stop perpetuating the effects of human papillomavirus. Mm-hmm. So smoking is one. And then the other one is healthy eating and weight loss, because a lot of our cancers are connected to obesity. I'll speak personally about one of the cancers that I take care of, endometrial cancer. Mm-hmm. And obesity is really the number one risk factor for endometrial cancer. And you might say, well, why is that? For endometrial cancer specifically, there's a hormone in the fat cells that increases the presence of estrogen, and endometrial cancer is driven by estrogen. And so, and we'll probably get to this, I think education is really, really important. If we can get our community to really understand why it's important to get screened, and why it's important to stop smoking, and why weight loss is actually important. It's not just superficial. It actually is the difference between life and death. If we can communicate that, I think we'll make a lot of headway.
Yes, thank you so much. You're going right where I'm going to Tyson about the importance of education, and you can give me a habit too, but the importance of education.
So for me, I think it's just very important to know,
Mhm.
right? Like when it comes to education, I mean, in our community, I think there's always this fear, right? I don't want to go to the doctor. I don't want to know what the outcome is if I go to the doctor. I deal with that every day with my 80-year-old grandmother, right? I'm not going. I'm like, it's better to know than not to know. So from an education standpoint, if you have the resources, please go see your primary care doctor. If you don't have the resources, there are resources. Go to your local clinics, get the information, get the knowledge you need so that you can be safe, so you can be here tomorrow for your children and your grandchildren. So.
Thank you. Nyla?
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying too, Tyson, because as a public health professional, I know all this stuff, but as a regular person, a lay person in the community, they might not know the importance of stop smoking or the importance of not consuming a large amounts of alcohol and how that can affect your body. So it's important to get the message out, not just to people in the healthcare setting, but people all over, people at like schools, just out in the community in general, just so everyone knows what's going on and what things can be prevented and what services are out here to help you.
Alicia?
To piggyback on what everyone else has said, one of my doctors said cancer is a curable condition. Early detection is key. And to speak on the knowing, you're going to know. You're going to know perhaps when it can be prevented, or you're going to know when it's too late, but you're going to know. So I'd rather you know when we can do something about it, because cancer is a curable condition.
Yes, thank you. The cancer is a curable condition. It absolutely is. And you've heard this morning about being proactive. You've heard this morning about advocacy. You've heard this morning about education. And one of the things that I would love to pivot to is fear, and what fear has done and is currently doing in the Black community around cancer. And I think, Tyson, you hit on this very well about not wanting to know, not wanting to know. And so what can we do or continue to do as a community and individuals to provide the resources within Indianapolis in a way where these numbers, because behind each one of these numbers, statistics about Black women and Black men and Black children dying from this disease are whole families. And so what can we do? What would be your messaging around to dispel the analysis, paralysis by analysis, when we think so much about what we don't want to know?
Yeah, I personally really don't think there is a message. I just think we just need to continue to have the conversation, right? We just need to continue to hear that and encourage people to get out, to get tested, to do all these things about their health, right? I don't really necessarily think there's a message. I just think we just need to continue to have positive conversations around it, because most of the time when we're talking healthcare, at least in our community, it's around negativity, right? So we have to remain positive about that conversation and continue to push our friends and families in the direction of positivity to make sure that they're getting tested, screened, and just paying attention to their overall health.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'd like to jump in and say that, I appreciate Alicia sharing her experience. I think talking about your experiences really goes a long, long way. Yes, a lot of people are very afraid to go to the doctor. They don't want to find out what they don't know. But if someone they trust, someone that looks like them, says, listen, I've been through this. Let me hold your hand. I'll go with you. It's okay. That moves mountains. And so I think those of us who know should talk and reach out. And I think just partnering with one another is huge. And especially in our community, we trust one another. And so we are our own resources. And like Alicia said, it comes with some vulnerability. And there's some stigma associated with discussing certain things. And so I think kind of reducing the stigma, being vulnerable, reaching out, I think that's how we change this one person at a time.
I think our takeaway from this point is just that continuing these kinds of discussions, that to put a forum together like this, the American Cancer Society, bring all of us together, to reach out to the community, to come together, to stream an event like this, so if they don't catch it now, they can catch it later. is where I was driving home to, is the message really is to continue the conversation, Any other questions? Anyone have questions that they love? We want to talk together here, and there's no silly question either. Anything on your mind or your heart? Because I've got more to go. Okay, let's talk about, from an individual standpoint, I want to talk about our younger generation. I want to talk about, I call it the invisible stage in life. I used to be in that phase one day, but Father Time waits on none of us. But when I was younger, I'm saying 25 to 35, I did not really understand until I understood in my 40s the importance of my primary care physician, the importance of not just going to the doctor, but then finishing what the physician says. Can someone talk to me a little bit about the importance of it's not just education? I get that, but what we need to be doing within the younger, because that's our legacy, right? Those are the folks that are going to be taking care of us. What should we be doing there to reach that group?
For me, again, it was part of sharing the journey with my children, and then that impacts their age group. My youngest is 30, so I have kids in their 30s, and that impacts that age group. Being vocal about it, letting them know that this too can happen to you. We all go through the 20s where we think we're going to live forever, but there's always that wake-up call. And if COVID taught us nothing else, like life changes on a dime. So just conveying that message and being transparent with my journey with my children so that hopefully that impacts their generation. My conversations, just in checking on people, my loved ones, my friends, hey, do me a favor, go get checked today, or have you been checked this week? Or hey, I'm having a gathering, but before you can come, you need to show me that you've had a mammogram.
That's good. That's really good. Anyone else? Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have much to say about that. I think my only thought is it's really easy to not have a primary care doctor in your 20s and 30s because, like you said, I think oftentimes young people think they're invincible until something happens. And so I think it's going to take parents, it's going to take friends, it's going to take teachers, it's going to take pediatricians, right? Because when they're kids, they have a doctor. But then something about going into adulthood, like you transition into this nowhere land where you might or might not have a doctor. And so perhaps if we can get a little bit better at transitioning children from their pediatricians to a primary care doctor, I mean, and I'm saying this to myself, I'm saying it to like the advocates out there, like, I think that's somewhere we could improve, transitioning from pediatrician to primary care so there isn't that kind of window where these young people don't have physicians.
That is really, really important. In the community, so often, the 20, 22, 20, they don't have physicians. It's not even that some are underinsured or uninsured. It's the thought that I don't need until I need. And I'm going to tell you, you don't have to wait for it to knock on your door for you to need. Annual screenings, just talking about at what ages should you be going to the doctor, young women and young men, the things that they need to ensure that the physician has a earlier profile of them before they come in with an issue. So Dr. O, thank you for that. That's exactly what we're looking for. These kinds of things need to be said within the community. Number one, as a reminder. Yes, ma'am. Rochelle?
I just want to see if maybe one of you can speak to, I've heard especially the women in our family, we always put everybody else. We put our children first, our grandchildren first, our aunts and uncles and everyone else. Can we speak to them today and talk about you matter too? Because you can take care of anybody if you get sick, if you get diagnosed with a late stage cancer or disease, and then you unfortunately pass away. So can we just speak to that demographic and say, you matter. We love you. We want to continue creating memories with you. We want to have you cook in that bathroom.
So the question in the room is to speak to regarding taking care of themselves And there's something like what the stress levels and things that we need to be doing. A physician I know has exercises medicine, like what should they be doing and why, in the call to action to these individuals.
So I can speak to that, Rochelle. You can't pour from an empty cup. And so I have a friend who actually literally fills a cup every morning with water. She pours out or pours in as needed as a a tangible demonstration of how empty or full is my cup today. You can't pour from an empty cup. And what cancer has taught me is the use of energy.
Mm-hmm.
Like healing from cancer takes a lot of energy, So I had to rationalize, okay, do I have the energy for a shower today? Do I have the energy to go downstairs today? I've brought that forward into my life today because you have to rationalize your energy. Like we focus on so many things and people that we expend our energy, but what's filling you up? You cannot pour from an empty cup. So it is very important to keep in mind that self-care is not selfish. It's not selfish in order to give you from overflow, because that's what I should be giving you from, not deficit, but overflow. And so in order to give you that, I need to be full, which means I need to pay attention to my body, the things that I like, the things that I enjoy, the things that fill me up.
Thank you. Tyson? He loves it here.
No, I mean, I think Alicia really summed it up. Like, you can't pour from an empty cup. But, my message out there is for the mothers, the grandmothers, right, that's out there. I'm speaking to my 80-year-old grandmother who's the head of our family, right? Blessed to have her for 80 years, but would love to have her for more years. So to those that are out there, please go get tested. Please take care of your health so you can continue to take care of more generations to come. Because without my 80-year-old grandmother, I wouldn't be the person I am today. I wouldn't have the foundation that I have today. So I want my son to benefit from that and my grandson to also benefit from that.
We're just going to keep it rolling. Dr. O, any thoughts?
I mean, I agree with what's already said. And I think I want to kind of step back to how do you get through the fear and anxiety of getting to the doctor? I think you use the family that you care about so much to be the driving force, right? Like you're afraid to go to the doctor. You don't really want to hear what they're going to say. You're afraid. But then you look at the children who are depending on you that you are giving everything for. And then you say, okay, I'm going to brave it because they need me and I need to be here for them.
Yeah, thank you.
Self-care was mentioned, and I think oftentimes people don't think about self-care. They, especially just in personal experience with my mom, she tries to do everything for the family. She's not really thinking about herself because her kids have become pretty much her whole entire world. So she's not thinking about, oh, maybe I should go to the doctor, or wait, my health matters. So I think it's just important to know that your health matters. We want you to be around for decades and years, and we need you. You're a critical part of our family. So it's important that you put your health first and you make your health a priority so we can have you forever, essentially.
And so we all want you to know, all of us, including me, we want you to know, we want our community to know that we love you. And we can't do this work without you. And to our children that do not have children, we want to be around to see your children. And our hope, and as we continue to move forward in this, is that you hear the voices and cries from the community that we love you and that we need you.
And then one last thing, I know we spoke to our grannies and our moms, but let's speak to the guys out there, because those are the ones that are difficult sometimes.
Yes.
So I'm going to punt that one over here to Tyson, and then and I'm doing this way on purpose as an individual, as a Black man. He can speak to that, but then also the women that are on the panel would love for you all in that order to speak to the importance and the reason for that, because of without our men, right? What of the night, Tyson?
Yeah. So I'll say this, probably because I'm in healthcare. I always pay attention to my body and what goes on. Probably sometimes I overdo it, but I rather overdo it than underdo it. So to all the men out there, right? We need to be in our communities. We need to walk alongside our wives. We need to take care of our bodies, whether it's prostate, colorectal, whatever that cancer is. We need to be side by side with our wives, right? Our girlfriends, right? We need to help lead the family. So to all my men out there, let's take care of our body. Let's get screened. Let's get checked. Let's dispel the myth and get rid of the fear of going to our doctors. Let's just get it done, right? It's a 30-minute visit, right? A 30-minute visit that could save you for the rest of your life.
I had a question for you.
Just to follow up on that, just can you also speak to the importance of noting cancers that are not normal or traditional for men, like breast cancer, self-testing, and what that looks like?
Sure. Yeah, so I can talk a little bit about that. There was a comment basically about breast cancers in men, or cancers that are not traditionally known to occur in certain people. And so, yes, men can have breast cancer. A lot of times it's men who carry a hereditary gene, and it increases the risk of breast cancer in men, but it can also be spontaneous. And I think this is where the importance of having a primary care doctor comes in, right? Because there's not necessarily a recommendation for mammograms or anything like that for men, but men can have breast cancer. And so if you have a primary care doctor and you're seeing this person once a year and they're doing a full body physical, then if there's something going on and you guys are talking about your various symptoms, it'll get caught. It's more likely to get caught that way than otherwise. So thank you for that comment. That's actually really important.
Thank you. Yes.
I was gonna say, I lost my mother to colorectal cancer in 2012, and I just turned 50 this year, and I'm scheduled now for my third colonoscopy later on this month.
Yes.
Something that once it hit home,
Yes.
it became something that was very necessary for me to keep an eye on. I just wanted to add.
Absolutely.
Thank you for your comment.
Can I make one comment?
Absolutely.
Just back to the men in the community, right? I mentioned go to your doctor. Let's get tested. Take your young boys with you, right?
Good.
Right. Create a habit for them, right? Make sure that they follow our footsteps. So whatever they see their dads doing, they're going to do it too. So I just challenge you to, because you will go, right, to your primary care physician, take your young boys with you.
Thank you.
I want to echo that. I'm basically saying exactly what Tyson just said, but I want to say it from the perspective of a wife and a mother of two boys.
Yes.
Fathers, like, if you only understood how much your word and your actions matter, I mean, these boys look up to you like your word is gold, and they will do whatever you do, whatever you say. They just want to be like you. So role modeling is so important, particularly for the men, because there's something about men in the family that really kind of helps guide the children. So I mean, what Tyson said is invaluable, and I agree 100%.
Yes, thank you. Our men, their voice matters. That's what I hear. Their voice matters in such a heavy way. And this is look, if we're going to take up something, healthcare is absolutely one of them. Dr. O, you said something that I think is noteworthy here to mention from a standpoint of someone who I have the BRCA mutation, and what that meant for the men in my family. So education was super important, because while I was diagnosed early, as the doctors continued to look through, I was BRCA positive, which does affect, I have 4 brothers, affect the men in my family. So I had to become the advocate within my family. And I wasn't a fluke. Like, this isn't a fluke, you all. And so it is something that it's a work, meaning that it's a daily, monthly, yearly, at the barbecues, at the whatever, to remind our men of their importance, because cancer really just doesn't have to knock on your door and it be a surprise. Through the screenings that you talked about, through encouraging our loved ones, there is a preventative maintenance and measure that goes along with screening. And I wanted to share that from a standpoint of someone who's had a little bit of an evolution with cancer, from being a young girl to now being a young girl to now being, 16 years later, medical technologies have changed. Advocacy has changed, but what has not changed is the power of the male voice within our community. Yes, sir.
Again, not a question, but a comment. Not going to speak this as well. I don't know the formal name of it, but I just recently had a full body screening for cancer. Obviously, it doesn't detect if you have cancer, but it detects the probability of developing certain types of cancer. Yeah, I apologize. I don't recall the name of that test, but
Was it a PET
Was it
scan?
PET?
Was it a PET? No.
it was actually a blood test that they
Oh.
drew blood and sent my blood off for testing, but it screened for, I think, 35 different claims of cancer and the probability of getting them. So, sorry. Those screenings are available. My doctor recommended it because of my family history, and those screenings are available. It is.
Okay.
We couldn't hear.
No, I just asked what type of approval that testing had went through, because there's a lot of tests.
Yeah,
that people recommend. So we just want to make sure we recommend the gold standard.
Yeah.
screening, So we're not, directing people.
Yeah, I think it goes back to that partnership that we talk about with your physician and ensuring that you're there so that whatever your medical profile is or what you have going on with you, because all of our things are tailor-made for you. So while I'm a breast cancer survivor and so is Alicia, our cases are completely different. Our profiles are different. Our recommendations are different. We probably even had different treatments. And so I think I'm positive that partnership with your physician even for you to receive that specific screening for you in your case, that's something that is super important for each individual to have their own profile and their own medical file, if you will. Yes, sir.
So Brother Carl, I'll speak to that too, because I took a similar test and this is for not promotional use, so I'll say it. It was named Galleria and it tested for multiple types of cancers. Now, me, again, going to the doctor, men and women, right? I'm a little over the top sometimes. So I just started asking questions. And Lord and behold, my doctor was like, oh, yeah, I have this test for you. And I was like, well, how much is it? Well, they were giving away free tests, right? My insurance wasn't billed. I wasn't billed for the test. And I was able to get, similar to Brother Carl here, my results back with detection of cancer. So just, again, it goes back asking questions. And you'll be surprised what you get from it.
Very good.
And again, I'm not sure exactly what test you had, but just to speak to that in general. So there are tests like genetic testing that can be done that screens for various cancer genes. And typically your doctors will send that depending on your family history. And so I think all of this circles back to having a doctor, having a relationship with the doctor. Because the one thing I heard you say, sir, is my doctor recommended it. And I think that's essentially the take-home message there.
Thank you so much. I think we have another question.
Yes, I just wanted to ask.
Hi.
And Alicia, you probably can speak to it. When a person, like you talk about preventive and everything, and the person actually ends up having cancer, whatever type it is, what is the number one thing or two or three that you can think of that a caregiver or as a friend that we can help encourage, or anyone that can talk to me about encouraging, or just what would the person need at that time? It's devastating news, whatever. What can we do as advocates?
And as advocates, and this will vary, it's subjective, knowing the person and understanding how they like to be loved on, if you will. I'm kind of guarded, so it's kind of hard for people to love on me, but it would always help when someone just said, I'm thinking of you. What do you need? I had women who had experienced breast cancer come to me, let me tell you what questions you need to ask, or let me tell you what the experience is going to be like. So knowing the person, but really just listening, just being in the moment. You don't have to have the answers. You do not have to have the answers, and don't act like you know the answers. And I'll speak for me. I didn't want to hear a whole bunch of Bible verses and all that. Just be in the moment with me. Just be in the moment. Just sit silently. If I cry, allow me to cry. If I want to vent, allow me to vent, understanding that I'll get to where I need to be, but just be a voice and just be in the moment. You don't have to have the answers. Your presence speaks volumes.
Thank you, Alicia, and thank you for, does that help? What I hear, well, from a professional and personal standpoint, is sometimes people are looking for what to do, but you said three powerful things that are so true. Being there, just being in the moment. And the first thing, because it is generally folks see their mortality in cancer, they begin to reach from all over the place. It's overwhelming, right? A diagnosis of any kind is overwhelming, but to hear those words, it's a process, I think, that a patient begins to go through, right? And so what we all want to do is help, but sometimes helping is, number one, you really have to know who you're dealing with. And if you are an advocate within the community and it's your, like for me, I'm an advocate, or a patient navigator. So I have to try to, at best, know who I'm looking at and then listening to what they say their needs are. And again, there's a progression. You know, there's a progression from diagnosis to treatment to recovery, and in all those different phases and stages. Yes, Alicia?
And I'll add, one of the questions that I've tried to incorporate is, how can I show up for you? And oftentimes people really don't know, but how can I best support you, rather than what do you need, or let me know if you need anything? How can I best support you? Sometimes it is prayer. Sometimes it is an encouraging word. Sometimes I need you to come sit with me, but how can I best support you usually kind of opens the field for them to be able to express, this is what I might need.
Well, I want to thank all of you that are here in the room. I want to thank you all that are streaming, and I want to thank our esteemed panelists for being here, sharing their time, their effort, their energy. We can clap for you if you can't hear them in the room. It's really important. And so we have just one call to action that all of us together will say this. Every tomorrow should have you in it. What would the holidays, summers, and family reunions be without you? Let's continue to create a lifetime of memories together. Know your risks. Remember cancer screenings, guidelines, and the importance of those things, and get screened. I love you. Get screened. Thank you, American Cancer Society, all of our partners and sponsors for this amazing panel discussion this morning.